The EM-1 laser is one of the most polarizing weapons in Call of Duty history. Between console and PC players, opinions on the balance of this weapon range from trash to best gun in the game. Who's right, who's wrong, and more importantly, how can we be as effective as possible with this weapon? Let's get started. The EM-1 laser has very high damage at point-blank range, with drop-offs starting very early, and it has a very sharp drop-off at that. It'll take anywhere from 2 hit markers with headshots at point-blank range, or 3 without, all the way out to a dozen or more hit markers at very long ranges. So in order to be most effective with this weapon, then, we want to be as close to our opponents as we possibly can. Unfortunately, the EM-1 is considered a heavy weapon, and as such, you move at a drastically reduced speed when compared to shotguns and SMGs. To counteract this, it's quite essential in my opinion that you use both lightweight and blast suppressor, so you can freely move across the map at maximum speed. If you're on PC and learn to bunny hop, you're going to be going just as fast as a guy with an SMG, which is quite nice. So Exo Overclock, in addition, is of course a great choice as well, if that's more your speed, but personally I elect for more defensive Exo abilities to help me play objectives more safely. Personal choice. And since we're going to be trying to engage enemies at as close of a range as we possibly can, Hipfire is of course going to be our best friend. Luckily, this weapon has the best hipfire of any regular weapon in Call of Duty history as far as I'm aware. In fact, it's so good, aiming down your sights with this weapon is completely unnecessary for all but the absolute longest of long-range kills. So this means that we don't actually need any attachments for this weapon since we're not bound by the crutch of ADS. Quick draw is useless, optics are useless, and stock is useless. But what about the grip and heatsink? Surely those have to be beneficial in some way, right? So first, let's take a look at a side-by-side comparison of the recoil spread of this weapon at hipfire with and without grip. This is actually really stupid. The laser is going to randomly choose to recoil up and to the left or up and to the right, and whichever way it starts recoiling is the way that it's going to continue to recoil throughout the trigger hold. It'll reset with each release and re-squeeze of the trigger. However, it seems to recoil up and to the right the vast majority of the time. I haven't taken enough samples to say this as any more than anecdotal evidence, but my feeling in like dozens of hours of use and thousands of kills with this weapon is that it recoils up and to the right the vast majority of the time, and the up-left recoil is completely unpredictable. It's very easily controlled once you react to it, don't get me wrong, but you can't predict it. So, as you just saw in that comparison, the recoil differences between grips and non-grip variants are pretty much negligible. The attachment is completely useless on the laser, and you're wasting a point if you're using it for hipfire. I didn't test this with ADS because, quite frankly, if you're aiming down sights with this gun, you're doing it wrong 90% of the time. And if you're good enough with the laser to know when you actually do need to ADS, you're good enough to control the recoil without the crutch of this attachment, in my opinion. As for the heatsink, well, it's pretty easy to counteract your laser overheating by simply tap-firing the weapon instead of absent-mindedly holding the trigger down all day long. In this clip, you can see me firing my laser and edging it closer and closer to overheating, teasing it, but never really letting it happen. This is a hilariously stupid but effective way of holding down lanes at long distances. Just keep tap-firing your laser at a corner or piece of cover, and you can indefinitely suppress someone behind it at the expense of constantly revealing your exact position on the minimap. So this weapon is hilarious because you can basically turn it into a better EPM-3 that uses hipfire instead of ADS. Amazing. Check out this clip where I show just how many hit markers you're still getting on people when doing this compared to fully holding the trigger down. You can watch the hit counter in the bottom left corner. Yeah, holding it down is obviously way better, and you're going to do that always in a real gunfight. But continuing to throw DPS at an enemy even at half the rate you would do otherwise while waiting for heat to dissipate because you overheated the gun is a win in my book. Shooting when you normally would not be able to shoot is just, it's essential. It's something that you need to be doing whenever you can. So there you have it, basically. This weapon doesn't require any attachments whatsoever because it doesn't really benefit from them anyways. You're free to load up on whatever kind of kill streaks or perks that you might want, or secondaries, whatever, since you don't need to put those points into attachments on your weapon. You could even use these points to do like a parabolic microphone and peripherals combination like you probably saw on Drifter's channel a few days ago, and everyone has been abuzz about that ever since. You definitely have the points to do that in this loadout, so definitely something you could consider as well. So that's basically the whole of it. You move slowly, and your time to kill is generally worse than all of the cream of the crop weapons in this game, which are basically the plus fire rate BAL, KF5, HBRA3, and more sniper rifles. So the only way you're going to win against those weapons versus the most highly skilled players is through very smart engagements and evasive movement, with a keen predisposition for traversing a map quickly and going crazy with exo movements whenever possible to keep yourself alive. In conclusion, let's take a look at my personal most favorite loadout. So here is my personal loadout that I only really use for pub stomping. I don't use it for, competitive games where I have really good enemies that I'm trying to play against. This is only for when I know that I'm playing against a bunch of fingerless idiots who don't know how to play the game, and I just want to dominate them as hard as I possibly can. This is the loadout that I go to, just to troll them. So I'm going to be running the EM-1 magnified because it gives me an increased range, meaning that I'm going to be more lethal against all my enemies directly. And the Hipfire, I think it's the Hipfire that is being nerfed on this variant, and quite frankly, it's a percentage nerf. And the Hipfire is already so tight that a small percentage on a small number is not really going to change it very much. I don't notice a difference, so it just seems like a pure buff for me. In my secondary slot, I run a Riot Shield because A, I'm a troll, and B, because it gives me free assist points. Whenever somebody shoots my shield and that teammate kills them, I get 25 points every time that happens. So, yeah, it's free points, and it keeps me alive, so, really cool. As for perks, I use Lightweight, Low Profile, Gung Ho, Hardline, and Blast Suppressor. So these are going to allow me to move around the map very quickly without having any kind of raise time on my weapon. No one's going to see me on a UAV, and I can get all of my kill streaks even faster. So I basically, with this loadout, I just want to keep trolling my kill streaks over and over and over and over. I want to keep a UAV up at all times. I want to always have a UAV up, and I want to always have the enemy team system hacked, just constantly, just keep them rolling and rolling. So that's kind of like my goal with this loadout. In my final slot, I use the Exo Ping ability just to help me capture hard points, domination points, but I guess hard points too, for that matter. It'll help me see people around corners, and just have a fighting chance at reacting to them, assuming that they're not using low profile. If they're using low profile, then I'm totally screwed. So lately I've been thinking I might want to try the Exo trophy system instead, just because I'm getting killed by Semtex a lot. I kill like half their team and they all respawn like, oh, herp derp Semtex on the point, and I can get away from one. Sometimes I can get away from two, but I can't get away from three. And it's just absolutely stupid how many people are running explosives in that game mode, and I don't understand why there's not an explosive damage reduction inside of the domination circle, but whatever. Trophy system might allow me to keep alive a little bit longer, so something I might be interested in going for there. That'll be all for you guys today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something new. Please like and subscribe if you feel so inclined, and we'll see you next time. Take care.